Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. The next episode of Red Valkyrie is about to start.
Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Red Valkyrie. I am your host, Shae Zombie, and I am here with the super awesome Justice Wright. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. I got a little stiff shoulder, but I think we're going to be okay. So we're here because you have a book currently funding on Indiegogo called The Ultimate Crusaders. So how about we just kick it straight over to you for your pitch?
All righty. You can just, okay. There it is. Okay. So basically what this is called The Ultimate Crusaders, and it's basically a culmination of the 2000s era of cartoons where you had a lot of these imaginative ideas like Samurai Jack, Courage the Cowardly Dog, and Conan Kiss His Door. And while you still see stuff like that today, you don't really see as much of that as you used to back in the 2000s. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to basically mix all of that stuff that I used to grow up with back in the 2000s and turn it into one singular series of comic books. And so in the Ultimate Crusaders, you have these two main characters. One's called Orion Williams. He's this self-centered, self-righteous person who is this really smart genius who thinks he knows everything. Who thinks he's smarter than everyone else, and who thinks he can't really interact with anyone else or his hobbies because he thinks they won't understand who he is. And so he basically just sticks to himself and creates all of these gadgets and inventions and stuff like that. And when Claire Rosemary, the second character, she's a lot less like Orion. She's more carefree. She's more understanding of people. But the reason that she hangs out with Orion is because she basically just wants to mimic other people to feel like she's a part of everyone else rather than just being herself. And so with her disability, with her prosthetic arm, she doesn't really feel like other kids, and she just tries to be like them while also trying to stick to her own hobbies as a tinkerer and try to basically put us two together. Usually that doesn't work out for her, and that usually just leads to her being somewhat depressed some of the time and still carefree at the same time. And so
Okay.
what I want to do with these characters, I want to put them in a scenario where they building this giant mech suit to discover what happened to Orion's father after he went missing 3 years ago in a shuttle accident in space. And so as they're doing this massive artifact crashes down on Earth, and when they discover it, they decide to use it as a power source for the mech. And as they're doing that, then this evil alien empire known as the Blackened basically comes down to Earth to find this artifact in order to continue their campaign of destruction across the universe, in order to expand their dying race across the universe. And so while this all happens, they have to defend themselves, they have to use the gifts against them, and they eventually come up across this group called the Ultimate Crusaders, who's this thousands upon thousands of aliens whose plans have been destroyed by the Blackened, and they usually just band together and see if they can fight off this group before they can destroy every race across the universe. And so the main thing I wanted to get across with this comic is the question is that, can these two characters overcome the differences, overcome the ego, and set those aside in order to discover their inner selves in order to save the universe? And so that's the main theme I wanted to get across with this. Because if you can discover your inner self and let go of your ego, then that will lead to a lot of self-discovery, and it can lead to a lot of positive things across your life. So that's what I wanted to get across to everybody. So kids, teens, adults, and all of that.
Yeah. So you're trying to get people to think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, this is really something that I want to do, since I've seen a lot of people who don't really have father or mother figures, and they don't really know how to express themselves. They don't know how to let go of their egos. They just tend to bully other people in order to make themselves feel important. And so what I want to do is try to give them a certain perspective in order to make them think about themselves and able to basically just take a look at themselves in order to discover their inner selves in order to make them have a more positive impact on their lives.
Yeah. So you're trying to help people grow and help people have better perspectives and do a little introspection, which is a hard thing for a lot of people to learn, which is, I mean, it's a really cool concept, and to do it with a comic book is a really interesting take, because it's comic books, people are reading them to escape and to, you know, be entertained, and you're doing that, but you're also kind of giving them like a life lesson, like the old comic books used to do and all of the old cartoons used to do. Is there was always a lesson that you would learn.
Yeah, and one of the things I wanted to make it seem that way, I wanted to make the art look like it was part of a cartoon but inside of a comic book. And with me and my artist Dominic, he really did a good job how to displaying that all together to make it look like the cartoon. Yeah. And so kids will get into it and they may learn something along the way. So
that's very cool. Now you got a video here. Would you like to play that to kind of give people a little bit more of a peek, or?
Oh yeah, you can share it. It's basically the same thing I've already said, but it has a few other visuals in there that they may like.
We'll take it.
Hello everyone, my name is Justice Wright and I'm the creator of the Ultimate Crusaders comic book. The Ultimate Crusaders is a culmination of the early 2000s cartoons and comics, where you had these extremely wild and imaginative ideas that varied in style, while also having some of them delve deep into spiritual and psychological themes and visuals. With that in mind, I wanted to make something similar that focused on an unorthodox action-adventure, but with a secret mystery that explores the unknown and our inner selves. The main character, Orion Williams, is a sheltered, antisocial genius that's obsessed with finding out what happened to his father, who was lost in space due to an accident. And because of this, he's become unwilling to socialize or deal with anything or anyone his age, besides his best friend Claire Rosemary. And Claire, she's more open-minded and sociable than Orion, but the reason she hangs out with him is that she feels more open to express herself in the hobbies around them, rather than other kids or her parents, who find their hobbies as a tinkerer strange and worthless. So he put these kids into a scenario where they discover this powerful artifact on Earth, and they suddenly become prime targets to this alien race known as the Blacken, who wiped out hundreds of planets across the galaxy with it. And now, the only way they can survive is to use their gifts against them, while also tagging along with survivors of the destroyed planets who call themselves the Ultimate Crusaders. This will be an ongoing series, with the first issue being a 36-page introduction to the characters and the overall story to come. We'll also be offering some stretch goals as well, so be sure to check those out in the description. I hope you consider supporting us in the Ultimate Crusaders and more series to come out there. Thank you. All right.
That's awesome. So, before we start getting into kind of the everything about this a little bit more and start getting into the questions, let's go over your perks, and so people know how they can back.
Okay, well, the first one, straightforward, is just a digital copy. I wanted to make something that was a little more cheaper than you usually see in the comic books, so I just used this as something that, for the first book only, I wanted to make a digital copy so people can get interested in it, so people can basically see what we're doing, and so this is just a cheap alternative to get into the story. So.
Well, and it's good for people that maybe shipping is going to be a little bit too much for, and all of that. This is a way for them to still be able to be a part of it, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
$10 for a physical copy.
Yeah, and the physical copy again is still cheap. I want to make something that pretty much anybody can afford, something that pretty much anyone can get. So with this one, the cover is made by a person named Ed Jimenez. He's actually an artist from Alterna Comics.
Okay.
And I commissioned him to make the main cover of the series, and he really did a good job with that. And so that's the first physical copy.
Are you going through Alterna for printing and everything like that? Are you working with them, or?
Oh no, I'm actually going with Scout Comics. They actually seeked me out after I sent a pitch to them, and they really liked what I did. So
Okay.
They're actually helping me publish the comic after this gets funded. So
Fantastic. Is that also why you can offer it so cheap? Because I know that a lot of people have been a little bit wary recently. There's been a lot of cheaper projects out there, and they're concerned that people haven't accounted for the actual cost of printing, the actual cost of shipping, and all that kind of stuff because of how inexpensive it is. But I'm assuming that you've been working with them and probably worked all of that kind of stuff out to make sure that you are still going to be able to hit it as long as you get your goal.
Well, mostly I mostly just did a lot of research into other campaigns and other stuff from Comics Aid. I wanted to research and see if I can make this first comic book something that won't be as much of a failure as some of the others have. And so I wanted to make something that was cheap and that I could actually be able to do in the long run. Yeah.
Okay. Papa Papa. I'm just calling you Papa. Every time I mess up your name. He wants to know what's the page count for this book.
Right now it's 36 pages, and if we 36. Hit one of our stretch goals, we'll expand it to 12 more pages, so it'll be around 40 or so pages. And so we really wanted to get to that stretch goal so we can add more stuff to the story.
So you're going to add 12 pages to as a stretch goal if you end up hitting it?
Yeah, it's actually
almost 50 then. If you hit that stretch goal. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty much a prelude to the next issue, a 12-page prelude to the next issue.
Nice. Okay. And then you have this really beautiful variant cover right here for $10.
Oh yeah, this one was made by Dominic Serena. He really did a good job with this. We talked about making something that was more of a spiritual kind of thing, something that people can look at and say there's more to the eye that's going on here, and that's something that may catch people's eye and see if they can check it out. And so he really did a good job with that. It's also $10. It's a variant cover, and so it's still straightforward. It's basically like the main cover, but just a different style. So.
Okay, and then so here is a big question that I've got then, because if I were to back the variant cover and the physical copy, that's only $20, and to get both of them, it's $25.
Well, yeah, I wanted to also make something. I tried to make something like stickers that I'm working on right now. That I wanted to put in this $25 thing. So after that gets done, I'm going to add that in there to make one sticker that we can put in there. And actually, if we hit one of the stretch goals, we'll add some more stickers in there, like 3 to 5 stickers in there. So, and that'll be available to all backers. So you get about 5 or 6 stickers that you can get with the $25 thing.
Okay, so this also has stickers that you just haven't listed yet.
No, we're still working on that. Once we get in the campaign, we'll add that into there. So.
Okay. All right. And that's it. Wow, really straightforward. So you got 4 tiers. So one of the first questions that I'm going to ask is there any consideration to selling any digital art or anything like that, or original art?
With me and my artist Dominic, we could probably do that, but I was just mainly focusing on the interior pages right now. But once we get into something that's later down the road, I may ask him to make something that he's more interested in. He really wanted to do something that was really expressive and something that was more of an ink thing, more of a poster like. And so I wanted to wait that out and see if people were interested in this until we go down that road. But if people are interested in this, if it gets a lot of backers, we'll basically consider making a big poster for everybody.
So what I would recommend, and this is from somebody who's done, this is 60 something episodes of Red Valkyrie Presents. I've seen a lot of campaigns. I've seen a lot of people that have succeeded very well. And I've seen a lot of people that have sold themselves short. And as a result, they end up coming up a little short. You've got a really good product here. I would highly, highly encourage you to consider doing maybe original art tiers or print tiers or something along those lines, where people can get the book and a print to where they're still feeling like they're getting a good deal, but you can actually charge a little bit more, because a lot of people are going to want to help you out. And if you've got a fixed goal of $5,000, right?
Yeah.
And your physical copy is $10. That is 500 people. Now, obviously,
I've actually
shipping,
realized
that's going to knock it down a little bit more, but that's a lot of backers, and that's difficult to get. If you give them something like an original art tier or a couple of the pages of the book or something like that, and you price those up $150, $200, it's not only going to help you get to your goal, but it's also going to help people that really do want to help you out and back your project, because I don't want to buy 10 copies of your book to be able to give you $100. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Actually, now that you mentioned that, we've actually commissioned somebody to make a original art cover for us that's going to be out soon. I wasn't going to announce this until later, but now that you mentioned that, we're actually just making something that's around the $40 or $50 tier variant covers and original art. So once we get that ready, we're gonna showcase that and show it off. He's a really great artist and somebody that
So you're saying $40 to $50 and original art. Is that what you just said? Like an actual, like a copy of the original page that the guy has done it on?
Yeah. We're actually working on stuff like that. So
I'm gonna talk to you backstage. Do not price that at $50. Absolutely do not price that at $50 for an original page of the cover of a variant cover. Absolutely not. That definitely would need to be higher, because if you take into consideration how much most artists charge for a commission, right?
It's usually around $100, $180, $200, something like that.
Yeah, it's usually up there. Now, the reason it's up there is because if it's an original piece of artwork, that is something that the artist put pencil to paper, put ink to paper, color to paper, whatever it is that they've done, but they physically did it. They sat there for however many hours, and that piece is never going to be duplicated. There might be prints of it, but the physical piece, that is the only one in existence. Do not price that at $50. It will sell. It will absolutely sell at $50. It'll sell quick. Shit, I'll buy it at $50. But what I'm telling you is you need to put the same amount of value into that as your artist put into it when you commissioned him. So you need to just keep that in mind. Now, that is my humble opinion, but do not price it at $40, $50. There's absolutely no way. And part of this, it's something that's counterintuitive for a lot of people, because you're like, but I want to give people something, and I want to, like, who am I? I'm just a nobody. It doesn't matter. It's still original artwork. And if you put value on your IP and you put value on your project, other people are going to see that same value. If you are underselling yourself, people are going to say, oh, well, I'm not confident that at this goal, they're like at this, price for your tiers, you're even going to make your goal, for one. And two, even if you make your goal, it feels like you're undercutting yourself a lot. And I would recommend giving them something a little bit higher where people could back at, and where you can show that, I think that this is actually worth something. And these being cheaper tiers, this is just because this is something that I want more people to be able to get. But look at trying to get a couple of the higher tiers, and so people can back a little bit higher if they want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For that.
Actually, we can probably do that, since my artist Dominic, he did a really good job with this, and he actually did some like time-lapse videos of what he did, and so we can actually put some original artwork on here already. And
and you absolutely should. You absolutely should.
Because I really like what he did with the mech here, and if we can get something like that in the original art, he can probably do a really good job with that, because he's really passionate about this. I was really surprised what he did, and so
Yeah,
if we can do that, he'll be really happy about that. So that's pretty
absolutely.
good suggestion from you. Thank you.
No problem. That's what we do on Red Valkyrie is we go over campaigns and we give advice. And I've got some other things that I can recommend to you off camera, but yeah, I mean, this project looks really good. It's very well done. Your artist is doing a phenomenal job. I like that you have a goal of trying to show kind of like that moral journey and everything, because that's something that we haven't seen a whole hell of a lot of recently. And so that's a really cool aspect of this. Just don't undersell yourself. Like be proud and know that you have a good product, and then price that to show that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can get that. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to ask where you got the inspiration for your main character and the girl missing the arm. Where did they come from?
Well, for one thing, it was basically something that I've been thinking about for a really long time, because originally it was just supposed to be Orion in the comic and not Claire.
Mhm.
She's basically a second edition that came a couple of years later, but the original inspiration for it was something like a show like Symbionic Titan. If you ever seen that, it's basically some mecha cartoon made by Genny Tartakovsky. He's one of my favorite creators, and so it's that. Yeah, it's that, and also a lot of other mecha anime stuff like Iron Blooded Orphans, stuff like that and stuff. And basically, I just been thinking about something that I can make that was similar to the stuff that I've been watching over the years as a kid and stuff. And when I was watching stuff like Samurai Jack and stuff, I was really surprised and inspired by some of the messages that they had in there, some of the spiritual messages that they had in there. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to mix that in with more of a less serious but more of an inspirational comic book that had more of a hidden spiritual element inside of it. And so that's one of the secrets that I wanted to put in there that people can think about while they're reading it. So that's pretty much the main inspiration for it.
Well, good. That's awesome. And I definitely I like that you've taken this like the orphan, oh my gosh, my brain just fried. But the like brothers and the mech suit and all that kind of like those anime, those kinds of storylines, and you're bringing that in and being like, we're doing it a slightly different way. And I like that you didn't give her just a regular prosthetic. You gave her this big clunky, this is clunky. And this is a quick job of this, but this is super clunky. And I love that you've given her something that is big and kind of cumbersome.
Yeah, I wanted to make something that was not something that looked like an arm, but something that she herself will be able to make realistically. And so when I thought about that, it would be more clunky and rectangular and stuff like that she made herself. So that's what I wanted to make with her.
I like it. I think that it's especially because you have her as a tinkerer. I think that that's a really interesting kind of take on it, and the fact that you've given her, you know, she looks like a little welder. So for people who just joined who don't know, like, look at her, she's an adorable little welder is what she looks like. And it's a really cool take on all of this. I like the style of the mech that you did. I like that you gave him a gigantic ass drill. Like, I don't know what these kids are going to do with this drill, but I'll be damned if they won't find some way to use it, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a lot of action in this comic book. I'm not going to hold out on that now.
Nice. I don't think that you can. I think it's against the law for you to hold out on action and give a mech a huge ass drill like that. I don't think that that's allowed.
Yeah, you don't really see stuff like that from back in the day, because in the modern day, they took a more comedic approach to action, and that's something that I really didn't like, because back in the 2000s they had a lot of action oriented shows, and they got pretty serious back in the time. Because I remember in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show, they had a lot of really serious moments, and some of the time people got killed in that show, and I was really surprised by that. And so
Absolutely.
It's one of the more awesome shows that I watched as a kid, and I wanted to make something like that I wouldn't have to be restrained of because of a cartoon company that wouldn't let me do that. So in this comic book, I won't really push out on that. I'll add as much action scenes as I want in it. So that's something that I really want to get in there.
Well, I really like it, and I think that it's a cool move because it definitely seems more accessible to a younger audience, but it seems like there's enough going on in here that, like, something that I hate, something that has always bothered me is whenever you're trying to bring in a younger audience, people always handle everything with kid gloves. And you look at this right here, and this dude is getting thrown through a window. Like, he's getting completely just rocked, you know?
Yeah, I didn't want something that was basically kid friendly. I wanted something that would make you think that this is a really serious threat and something that people can get killed over. And so,
Yes.
but it's
And
still something that kids can watch and see and get inspired over. So,
absolutely. And that's what I was getting at, is the fact that it isn't that it's for kids. It's that it is something that kids might enjoy, depending on the child, of course. But there's a lot of times where people try to dumb things down and people try to make things a little softer touch because, well, children might want to read this and I don't want to scare them. And I remember watching cartoons where people were getting beat up really bad. And I remember watching cartoons and reading books and, you know, looking through art and stuff where I would see just real actual things happen. And it's nice to see somebody else kind of going back to that and not saying, you know, kids are just delicate little flowers that need to be talked down to, and you can't ever approach them with anything serious because it's just too much for them. They're just little, you know?
yeah, I'm not gonna hold back on them now, because kids are a lot tougher than you think they are. Because one of
Absolutely.
the things that my dad used to say is he usually just talked to me like I'm just another adult when I was a kid, and so I took that really to heart, and that made me realize that kids don't have to be talked down to. They don't really have to be sensitive enough to things. They can take these things and take it and take it really
Yeah.
better than you think they would be. And so I just don't want to make something that they may get bored of because it's too safe,
Yes.
you know.
And I like it. And I guarantee you're going to get plenty of people who are going to say, you know, oh, this is inappropriate for children, whatever. And my response to that is be a parent. If you feel that your kid can't handle it, then be a parent. Don't have your kids read it. But in all honesty, this is the kind of stuff that I used to grow up with as a kid, and I really enjoyed it. And I think that a lot of kids nowadays are missing out on a lot of that kind of stuff. The kind of absurdist humor, the kind of crazy action, the, you know, big moral quandaries, and really just not pulling punches and letting kids know, like, hey, this is kind of what life is like. So buckle up.
Yeah, it's really something that I really wanted to do. And so the whole thing, I just wanted something that people can see that what I used to grow up with in the 2000s was nowhere near the stuff that they used to see now. And so
Yeah. Oh,
they may like it, they may not like it, but it's something that they can know that was there in the 2000s and that happened in the 2000s. And so
this was there in the 80s and 90s. This has been a thing that has had a very slow death over a couple of decades, and it's a shame because I really enjoyed it. And the stuff now, I try to watch a couple of kids shows recently, and I don't understand how any child finds it entertaining. It feels like a grind. It feels patronizing. It just feels terrible. And I don't know how many kids that I know of would be like, yeah, this is really fun. They're like, well, it's on. Like, there's nothing else to watch, so I guess I'm watching this.
Yeah, well, actually, one of the things that really insulted me when I was watching Cartoon Network is what they did with the Teen Titans. It's something that always bothered me because you had this really inspirational show that all sorts of kids like. back when they were kids. And
Oh,
then you
yeah.
made it into something that was more of a comedy, like kid-friendly show, and that really just, it just pissed me off. So this is something that I wanted to make that was more akin to what I was used to seeing back in the day, and so
Absolutely.
that doesn't pull its punches. It doesn't go to that kid-friendly style, and it doesn't go to that. I don't really want to say callous, but you know what I'm talking about. It's something that kids can see. They can think it's cool. They can think it's something that they can really be inspired by while thinking it's cool. And
Right.
so that's what you wanted to make with this.
Well, and I think that you've got the bones for a really, really cool project, and I'm excited to see where this ends up going. It's just it's really interesting. I can't get over the variant cover. If for nothing else, like I just to see the variant cover sitting on my bookshelf, that's enough to
Oh,
bring it
yeah.
back. But on top of that, the rest of this is beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Well, I actually have some original art for that. Actually, I might actually put that in there if people really like that. If they want something like that, I can actually put it on there and see if they can really be interested in something like that.
I'm telling you, show people the value in your project by offering some of this original art up and put it up in a decent tier. I think that would really help you be successful. And so we're currently sitting at $510. This is what happens when you do your books for $10, people. So $510. You've got 28 backers, 43 days left, and we're trying to get up to 5,000. This book really needs to get a lot more visibility. Have you considered going on any other shows?
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about going to John Mallon's stream if he'll
Okay.
let me be on there. Actually, try to go back on Tug's stream and see if he can let me back on there. I've been there already, but I didn't think I did a really good job of showing what I wanted to showcase on there, and so really want to get back on there
When you got
and
a time
look at
crunch
the pitch on
too.
there. Yeah. So, and if he'll let me, I might get on Ethan's stream, but as he used to say on Twitter, he didn't really want to put anyone on that hasn't already fulfilled something, and so with this, I want to just get that out there and see if it'll be successful in something later down the line. If I can get on his streams and actually promote myself better on the line.
Well, and every time you do this, you're going to get a little bit better at the delivery and a little bit more streamlined. You're going to know what questions people tend to have, so you can preempt them and get ahead of it. But yeah, Elasmat Films, he's a very good person to get on with. He normally streams Saturday mornings. He would be somebody I would highly recommend. You've also got Adam AF, who does Arch City. He's another good person to get on with. There's a lot of really, really good creators. I would highly recommend reaching out to as many as you can and seeing if you can't get on with some of these other shows, because we all have, like, we may all be Comicsgate and Indie Comics, and we may showcase a lot of the same people, but we showcase to very different audiences. Not everybody's got the same people who show up, and times a day matter and all that kind of stuff. So make sure that you're making the rounds, because you got 43 days. So you got a little bit of time. However, you've got a pretty hefty way to still go, and you've got a product that can absolutely go there. You just need to make sure that enough people know it exists.
Okay.
So I definitely would do that.
I actually really considered that the original art thing, because we had a lot of original art just sitting around that we can actually use for the campaign. And so if I can get around to it, if I'm not working, I can actually just set that up and put it on the campaign and see if anybody will like it. So
absolutely. And that's one thing that, so for anyone who's going to watch this, that's one thing that I want to make sure that you all understand, is there is no harm in you putting up a tier and letting that be how you see if people are going to want it or not. Because worst case scenario, the tier doesn't sell. Okay, that's not a big deal. But if you don't ever even offer it, every time you don't have it up when somebody hits your channel or somebody hits your page, that could have been the person who would have backed it, but it wasn't there. And you have no guarantee that they're ever going to go back. So if you've got something like that you can offer up, put it up there, put it up for whatever price you think that you want to do. And you know what? If you put it up there and you feel like it's gone up too high, or if somebody DMs you and says, hey, I really, really want that, but I can't swing that price. That's too much for me. Do you think that maybe you would be okay dropping it a little bit? You can decide if that's what you're going to do, and you can go in and edit it, but put it up there and let other people tell you if that's something that they're going to want to do or not. You got to at least give them the option.
Oh yeah. That's really good advice. I can actually do something about that fairly recently. So
good. I'm happy to hear that, because I think that it's probably going to serve you quite well, especially if you're offering a book for $10. That is crazy. That is a crazy low price to be offering a book. And you know, we'll definitely talk some more, because there's a lot of things that you can do to really beef this up. And you've got a really good product here, and I think that it's really interesting. It's something that I really want to see do well, for sure.
Okay.
I'm going to ask verbally, since asking typed wise, people are not seeming to respond to. If anybody who is in the chat has any questions for Justice, please feel free to post them, and so we can ask them up. So this is your first campaign, correct?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. How many books in this series are you thinking that you want to do? Is this a one and done, or are you thinking that you want to do multiple?
It's something that I want it to be an ongoing series. If the first book sells well, and if the second or third book sells well, I want to create basically a singular universe out of this, something that'll span out into multiple issues, maybe even span out into, side issues and something like that could expand the universe and stuff like that. So if this does well, if the issues after this sells well, I want to make something really, really big out of this. So
awesome. That is really good to hear. I think that that's another thing that makes people really excited, is if you have plans for this IP in the future, that makes people want to back it more, because they know if they get attached to these characters, they fall in love with the universe, there's likely going to be more, and that makes people excited to back early on, because then you get to say you were there when it started, and who doesn't want to be there, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying that's something that I really wanted to get by too, because when I was watching the later seasons of some of the shows that I really was inspired by, I really wanted to wonder what was happening next. And so with these issues, I wanted to make separate arcs that people can get invested in. And so I'm trying to create something that people can read once in a while, and when they read it, they'll be hyped up for the next issue. So
awesome. Gus Tyler Bush wants to know, what was your favorite 2000s show?
That's a really tough question. I think my favorite show would have to be the Codename Kiss That Story. They had to go to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Because that was a show that I've been watching since I was really a toddler. Really, it was something that I watched all the way through, all the seasons, all the episodes, and I really loved that show. And so that's something that also inspired this book. And so
awesome. I'm gonna be honest, I've never seen an episode, which is shocking, because I've seen so many kids. I'm basically a giant child. And even now I'm like, oh, there's this new like Pixar movie that came out, and all my friends are like, isn't that for like children and families? And I'm like, you shut up, nobody asked you.
Oh no, the Kids That Story, it was for kids, but those kids never let up. They will basically just straight up beat you. They'll basically just beat your ass if you're an adult, man.
I
do a lot of stuff.
I love them though, and I think that when they're done well, they're really entertaining. That's one reason why I'm so pissed off at other corporations that I'm not going to name, that I almost named, because I feel like they're ruining my childhood. They're ruining what I enjoyed so much. by being
Oh yeah,
total jerks.
I've been reading into that. I've been watching a lot of stuff that actually Clownfish TV had to say, and
Mhm.
when I was reading that, when I was watching their YouTube videos, I was really surprised about what they had to say in the comic book industry and the movie industries, because if I hadn't looked at them, I would have basically just probably tried working for Disney at one point. And after they said
Yep.
that, I was just like, man, I really don't want to work there anymore.
Yeah, it's a rough place to work, from what I hear. But let's not talk about that before we get struck, because they're jerks. Okay, so how many days have you already been active? Did you launch at 60?
Yeah, we launched at 60 days. Yeah.
Okay, so you've been up for 17, so just over 2 weeks. In that time, what do you have anything that has kind of struck you as something that you feel like maybe you wish you had done differently before you launched?
Yeah, probably like you said, it was something that I might have gotten away with making the products that I already have a little bit more expensive, but since I've already put it down to $10, I didn't really want to cheat people out of that, so I just kept it at the same price.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if I had to do it again, I'll put it more at the $15 to $20 price and make something that people will be more incentivized to basically get out of that. And so, with this, I'm still gonna leave that as it is, but I'm going to add some more stuff like stickers, posters, original art, stuff like that, like you suggested.
Yeah.
And I really want to make something that people will get and people will value a lot. So that's something that I'm looking into recently. So,
Well, I think that's a smart move for sure. How much did you try and like build up a mailing list or kind of get hyped up before you launched?
oh yeah, actually, I did a fairly good mailing list. I think we've got about 15 or 20 people on the mailing list before we launched. I've been doing that for about 4 or 5 months for the mailing list, and once we got that out there, once we did a lot of promoting for that, I thought it was basically time to get something out there that people would like and people could actually see for themselves, so I could, see what they can get, see what they can get for their money and stuff like that.
Absolutely. So El Rolo, Texas has an interesting thought. And by the way, we also have Tug in the chat. So hey, how you doing, Tug? Love Tug. Tug, Laz, we got all kinds of amazing people that are hanging out in our chat. But I wanted to highlight this question. So he says, how about building a cosplay version of the mech arm from the comic book and offering it up as a top tier item? Would that be too complicated? I feel like I could probably help you with answering that. It wouldn't be easy.
Oh yeah, once you said that, that's something that will be really complicated for me because I never really looked into that when in terms of an actual comic book. But thinking about it, it might be a possibility. But for the most part, I wanted to focus on actually something that I could really strive to get people that can actually do, and something that's not too hard for me because this is my first outing and something I don't want to mess it up. So
absolutely,
maybe that's something that we can do later down the line. But for right now, we just want to stick with the simple stuff, make something that people can get, people interested in it, and that I can fulfill with them without messing anything up. So
I'm gonna, you know what, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. If we can get you funded, I'm trying to think of a timeline. Give me some time to think about this. However, what I'm thinking is maybe we offer it if we can get you funded by a certain time within your campaign. maybe you and I can team up, and it won't be this. It'll be like actual cosplay. But maybe we can see if we can work something out about making that arm good. Hell, what did I just say? This arm is very complicated, but at the same time, I feel like I got a good idea of how it could happen. Get him funded and then we'll talk. Get him funded and then we will talk. Does that sound good to you? What do you think, Justice?
Yeah, if we can get it there, that's something that we can probably do. If you see, there's some character sheets at the bottom that you can look at around.
Oh yeah, I have. I went with what was going to be quick enough to get on camera, but oh shit. Yes. Yeah. If we can get you funded, get Justice funded, and then Shae and Justice will have a conversation and see if we can't make a tier for a cosplay arm. One of one. There will only be one because there's no way I'm doing more of those. But we'll see if we can make that happen.
Oh yeah, that'd be pretty interesting to do since I've really done something like that. So it'll be pretty fun if we get funded. We'll see if we can offer that to people and see if they like it.
Yeah. Oh, good. You're not okay. I got until October. We can. Yeah. Let's get you funded, and then we will talk about making a cosplay arm tier. And Shae will do actual cosplay work, not cut up poster board.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Oh, that's terrifying, but I'm in. I'm in, Justice. Whew. All right. Gosh, you guys are asking the rough questions today. Gus wants to know, do you have a YouTube channel? And if so, do you plan on making any videos?
Yeah. My YouTube channel is called Just A Fox Quick Reviews. If you want to look it up, you can, but it's basically something that I've been doing for a while since I was in high school. I wanted to make something that people can look at for a few minutes and they can get ideas on what video games they want to look at and discussions on video games that they didn't really know. And basically, I wanted to make something that was basically short and sweet, like 5 to 6 minutes at a time, something that people can see and not really get invested in something. So if they have something to do, they can just look at it for a few minutes and then do something else and stuff like that. Okay. So that's basically the unique thing I'm trying to do with that. So it's called Just a Fox Quick Reviews. I'm actually planning on doing a few more videos since I'm getting back into it. Haven't done many videos since over a year ago, and so I'm just starting to really get back into that, see if people can get interested in what I'm doing. So if people are interested, I can
do me a favor. Videos
to see if they like it.
Send me a DM with it. I will link it into the description for the video so people can find you a little bit easier.
Oh, okay. You can. I just post it in a little chat right here.
Yep, that works.
Let's see.
So while you are getting your link, I'm trying to think of what my other questions were because I had a few. So these alien creatures, like you've got this guy right here. Is this part of the darkness thing that you were mentioning?
Oh yeah. With these aliens, I wanted to make something that was kind of controversial with them because the deal with them is that their planet's been polluted a lot by this massive organization that's kind of like Star Trek, but with this organization, they don't really care for many planets outside of their organization, and so they usually just dump their waste anywhere across the planet. And once they did this, once they got polluted, their skin basically turned into this black moldy stuff that's on their skin, and they have to wear armor to cover that up. And so, they basically just taking your revenge on the people who did that to them.
If they don't wear the armor, what happens?
since it's basically like an oxygen system, since they can't really survive without it in their planet. And so once they get out their system, they don't really feel comfortable showing them their true selves to people. So they wear this armor to make themselves so they feel intimidating, make themselves feel more of a threat to people.
Okay.
And so,
but also to make sure that they can like breathe and live.
Yeah, breathe normally and stuff like that.
Yeah, not like labored like when I'm running up a stair or something. Okay, cool. Well, do you have any other little bits that you kind of want to highlight about this book before we wrap up? Because I'm really impressed that this is your first book and you've got a very good artist, a very good colorist. This is a really interesting kind of project. So is there anything else that you kind of want to throw out there?
I think one of the main things I want to put out there is just that it has more of a spiritual kind of secret spiritual thing that's hidden inside of there. Something more of the likes of figuring out and searching for your soul and stuff like that. And so that's one of the more secret things. I don't want to talk about that too much.
Okay.
So, but it's something that I really want to get out there to kids and make them think about. So once we get into that, it's something that I really wanted to do and something that many people haven't really done recently in terms of spiritual kind of things. So I'm really excited to do that and show that to people. So once it gets out there, and once we get that out there, it's something that I really want to show the people. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely has a lot of places you can go with this, and I think that's really exciting. Elasmat wants to know, do you plan on a collective omnibus of the entire story?
Oh, definitely. If we get there, I'm gonna make this an entire series. I want to put on Indiegogo and see if people will be interested in it. Well, I hope people are interested in it. It's an omnibus, but if we get there, I'm gonna put that all out there and do an Indiegogo for that. So
awesome. I think that that would probably do pretty well. So for anyone who is interested, I've got the link for Justice's YouTube. It's giving me a little bit of a hard time editing it right now, but the second this is uploaded onto YouTube, I will make sure to get that in the description so you guys can easily go and sub to him. I want to thank you very much, Justice, for coming out. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm very excited that I got to kind of get such an in-depth look of the Ultimate Crusaders. I think that it really does have the potential to be a very, very good book, and I like what you're doing with it. So thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me on. It's been really fun and it's been really informative too. So
that's what we shoot for. Thank you guys so much in the chat for coming out. You guys are always amazing. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to Red Valkyrie. You guys are always just so supportive. And the more that you sub and share this out, the more we can get eyes on a lot of these really good, deserving indie projects and make sure that people know that they exist and that they get funded, and we all win at that point. So thank you guys for coming out, and we will absolutely catch you guys next time. See you later.
All right.